All right, good. How are you today, Ivan?
Not too bad, not too bad. How about you?
Good, good. Tell us something about yourself. We'll introduce you to the channel.
Well, so I am a Spanish bloke, as it
Good.
has been commented in the channel a couple of times.
Yes. The
Well, I
word
think I
bloke.
could.
Yes. Are you familiar? You're familiar with the word bloke?
I am bloke, fella, mate,
Good.
in
Good.
it.
All right. Good. All
I
right.
have
Tell
been
us.
spending.
So
Yeah,
I
sorry.
just we'll just as we said, we'll get an introduction. So you're from Spain originally, living in Spain again now.
I am indeed.
You spent a lot of time in uh, the UK, England, was it?
I was in England. I was in London for the last 10 years and another two in Dublin before that.
And your connection with Australia is your wife.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm married with an Aussie naturalized woman.
Good.
Yeah, I think I have been using your channel for quite a lot as the main source of information for my household, and I thought that maybe I could add a little bit and be
Absolutely.
somebody from the Spanish side that can complement or can add value really to the challenge, solve some
Well,
questions,
this is
and
it.
why not?
This is it because normally we only get let's say an English speaker's point of view. We haven't had too many Spanish natives on the channel. Let's say Johnny, of course, English. Nick's English. I'm Australian. So we get
Hmm.
that point of view, and we're going to get a Spanish point of view on some of the things that we talk about, and also some of the news articles that we look at during the week as well, to get your perspective on them, Ivan, right? Because you're going to bring your Spanish knowledge and try to help us understand why these things happen that sometimes we can't understand why, right?
Absolutely, and anytime, Stuart. And as I said, I'm only one of many Spanish that have lived abroad,
Yeah.
know the language more or less. Hopefully, I don't get many critics on that. I know that it has been mentioned about the different accents on your channels a couple of
Yeah,
times.
well,
So
well, we
I
all
guess
have
I
an accent, Ivan. I've got an
exactly.
accent. You've got an accent. We've all got an accent. So we'll just so you're back in Spain now. You were living in the UK. Why did you decide to come back?
Well, I have been working for a Spanish company for a while, and they decided to move me back home.
Yep.
Let's say, even though I'm not from Madrid, I'm in Madrid at the moment with my wife. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a contract is one of those topics that you mentioned many times. It's
Yep.
very nice to go to Spain, but the job market is not as ideal as maybe people might think.
Mm,
So yeah, I was very lucky to have an offer on the table.
good.
Not maybe not as powerful as it could have been an international
Okay.
one, but it's always nice to come back home and enjoy
Good.
this
Good.
weather
Good.
that we have been enjoying.
That's right. And you've decided to set up shop, let's say, in Madrid.
That's it. That's it. Now in
What,
the
what,
capital.
yeah.
Mhm.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Santander. I'm from the north
Oh,
coast.
from the
Maybe some
north.
of
Okay. All
your
right. Good.
that's
Good.
it. Maybe some of your British audience might be a little bit familiar with the city, as we well, I don't know now to be honest, but we
Yeah.
used to have a direct ferry connection with Portsmouth and Plymouth. So it's one of
Okay.
the main entrance points for Brits from there that they don't want to drive through the French toll road, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah. So I think those connections with Santander or Cantabria and the UK are still working. Obviously, they were shut down because of the COVID restrictions and all of those things. But I think it is still a popular way that people from the United Kingdom come to Spain by car, especially, right?
That's it.
If they're
Yeah.
bringing a vehicle.
Yeah, caravans, all sorts, motorbikes as well. There's quite a lot
That's
of
it.
British that they decide to do like a motorbike excursion.
That's
And
right.
as you know, the north of Spain is quite of a different landscape that maybe the normal breed or the normal person really
Yeah.
from abroad that is not very familiar have in mind when they're talking about Spain. So
Well, that's right. It's the green Spain, isn't it?
absolutely. Maybe
All
that's
right.
why I last so long in UK and Ireland. Maybe I didn't miss
Probably.
home that much.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, because that's the similar type of weather. All
Absolutely.
right, good. So, Ivan, what did you want to bring to the table today? You wanted to talk about a few things?
Yeah, I have a couple of things that maybe it has caused a couple of discussion
Yeah,
in the channel in the previous days.
let's
Maybe
go.
just give my opinion, and I just want to mention just very quickly that I'm just one of many Spanish, and I cannot speak for all of them. And obviously, my current opinions might not represent my future opinions. As everything in life, everything changed, knowledge changed,
Absolutely.
culture changed. So
That's it. That's it. All right, good. So, what did you want to bring here?
So probably the first thing that it has been a recurring one through the summer in the channel is the botellón, and we have had
Botellón.
this
All right. Yeah.
in
The
exactly.
big
So
bottle.
exactly the big bottle. So we have had this news. I think it was over the weekend that
Yep.
in Madrid it was like 25,000 people, and I also read that there was some twin events in Barcelona and Valencia, probably not as huge,
Yep.
but yeah, just to give a little bit of an idea. And I'm not justifying this whatsoever, and obviously
No.
not the sound, the environment, and all the rubbish that
No,
these
well,
students are leaving behind.
that's
That's the
that's
big
the key
issue.
point, right? So
Exactly.
let's just put it into let's just give a definition of what this botellón is, because obviously, I think in English I normally translate it to street drinking or some type of outdoor party, let's say, that's held in a public space. Normally they're not
Pretty
held
much.
in people's backyards, like a party that you'd have in England or something like that. They're held in
Mhm.
parks or car parks, or
Any big public space. Most of the times it might be close to universities because that's
yep,
what the people generally age bracket
yep,
are at uni times.
yep,
So yeah, it's pretty much youth getting together,
yep,
going to supermarkets or any
yep,
corner shop, really fill fill their bags with
yep,
ice cubes, any liquor of choice. That's hit the street. Really, it's
yeah.
pretty much something that it happened or started happening maybe from the early 2000s,
Oh, okay.
and it was marked in different size, obviously depending on the city and the different universities. It's more like a university party,
Yeah,
and there
yeah,
were the big ones were really at the very beginning or at the end. And in some places, like for example, I remember Granada, they have an actual place that they call El Botellódromo.
yeah.
So
For all
they
of the
have an
students
actual
down there, that's right. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So pretty much the cheap drinking is not about that.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
reflection of a society, maybe not big salaries, and maybe these kind
yeah,
of people, this youth, they don't really have much of a job, like a part-time job that they can afford going to a disco, maybe
yeah,
where the drinking is
yeah.
more
More
expensive.
expensive, yeah, yeah.
Correct.
So the main reason behind it is that it's a cheap way to drink. So
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah.
you can go to a supermarket here in Spain, Ivan, as you know. You can buy a bottle of second grade alcohol, probably not top shelf, for six,
Yeah.
7, 8 euros, right?
Yeah, even the marca blanca, the
That's
typical
right.
one. Well, it could be. Well, you have the same in UK. You can get the Tesco vodka or the Sainsbury's vodka.
Yep, yep.
You name it.
That's
And
exactly
instead
what
of
it
being
is.
on the comfort of your own home with a group of friends, you
Yep,
decide to hit the streets.
yep,
So for some people, from some groups, it's just a plan for the whole night.
yep,
That's the plan. For some others, it's just cheap
yep,
binge drinking. Sorry, before you go to somewhere else. It
yep,
really depends, but
yep.
yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's sort of like a warm up, let's say, no,
Uh,
before you hit a
that's
club, and
it.
you don't have to spend a lot of money because you're already half drunk. That's it.
That's correct. That's
So you
correct.
said it's got a university origin, but I think it's gone past the university nowadays, though, hasn't it? I mean, every time
Yeah,
you have the local fiestas, you see people doing this botellón now, probably nothing to do with the university.
yeah.
Uh, every weekend, even in places where I live here, which is residential, Madrid, you see people doing it, not
Yeah.
universities. So it's gone beyond the university now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Spanish, we never say no to an opportunity for a fiesta, for a get
That's right.
together,
Yeah,
and socialize,
yeah,
really. And again,
yeah,
just I think it's more concentrated in that age bracket when you cannot really afford to go to a place to drink, etc., etc. Maybe
That's
you
right.
cannot just get together with your
That's it.
18-year-old friends because
That's right.
your parents are there. So
That's it. And I think that in general, correct me if I'm wrong, but society here is fairly tolerant of the botellón, except when the rubbish aspect comes into play, right? You get the broken glass, you get the plastic
correct.
all over the place. I mean, I'll put some images up here in the video to let people know what it's like. But anybody who's seen the aftermath, let's say, of these botellones know that it's fairly ugly.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. There's no other way around it.
No.
I don't really know what will be the resolution for this issue. Try to get some more socialized activities for that age gap, or maybe some other kind of establishment for getting these people out of the park really from drinking. And I think in some town halls, I remember back in my days, the ayuntamiento organized like cultural weeks and films for free, just to gather these kind of people from the streets. I also can say that during summer is the peak time for these events. You don't want to be indoors anytime and pretty much any geography, and especially in the north. So now with the winter, hopefully the situation will calm down a bit.
That's right. And I think the style of living here also has something to do with it, in the fact that the majority of people, probably, I don't know what the percentage is, Ivan, but 95% of the population live in urban situation, in a flat. The only escape they have from those flats in the summer months is to go down into the street, meet their friends, and normally find a secluded place, as you said, a park that's a little bit out of the way, and do whatever they do. But I think that's another aspect of it, is the style of living that people have here in Spain.
That's very true. I think in my experience in Ireland and the UK, there are countries that has expanded widely. The cities, they don't really grow that tall. Anybody that has been in Spain and in a capital of province, you don't need to just go to Madrid or Barcelona.
Every city is the same.
Exactly. These big blocks of flats, etc., etc. Maybe you can see that in Dublin or in London, more like in the financial center. Like people don't really like to live like that, and you have this kind of Victorian house, and the terrace house is very typical to have the backyard and the front yard, and by that kind of organization of the city. Basically, the cities grow very wide, while, for example, Madrid or Barcelona, they have grown very tall, like maybe now the Asian cities.
Well, I think they are starting to spread out a little bit. I mean, here in Madrid now, there's lots of neighborhoods popping up around on the outskirts of the city. I mean, where I live here, it's more residential.
Exactly.
And you can see that a lot of people are moving out of the center of the city now into these more residential housing type areas, I think.
Yeah, I think it has been all around the world after the pandemic, the work from home, remote working, as the nomads that you were talking in previous episodes as well. Exactly. So it's more embracing that rural side. Not that rural. You can be half an hour from Madrid and you can have all the services, etc., etc. You don't have to be in the middle of nowhere. Should you wish to, obviously, not a problem. But
absolutely. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Since the pandemic began, I've been into the center of Madrid maybe twice. Whereas I'd go there every day before.
No, absolutely. And things has changed, culture changed, the approach that people have to work has changed. Let's see how everything evolves in the coming months and years. But I think it's going to be something that maybe some changes that were, I wouldn't say scheduled, but probably it will happen naturally, maybe in a decade or so. It just happened very quickly in a very short amount of time. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get.
All right, great. So that's the botellón in context there, Ivan. What else did you want to talk about?
So we have another recurrent topic. I have been trying to see what is on the mind of your audience to try to give a little bit more of gather more information. So we talk a lot about electricity and the prices.
Electricity prices, yeah, at the moment quite high. Yeah.
Johnny did a great job in his last video trying to explain what the situation is. So maybe I just want to complement with a couple of particularities from the Spanish market. Probably as anybody has read, really this spike has gone up because of the natural gas prices all across Europe. The situation usually in these kind of scenarios are complementing the electricity production with coal.
Yep.
There has been also a spike in the prices of coal. I don't know if anybody from your audience know, but Spain has been subsidized the national production of coal, and probably the people from Asturias and north of Leon are the typical mining areas. The Spanish coal is not very good quality coal, so we have a bit of a situation there that in the past, this kind of picaresca when that subsidized coal.
People take advantage of it. Yeah,
exactly, and they have been using those subsidies to bring foreign coal and pass it as Spanish coal. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is all adding to the problem.
Exactly. Yeah, the price with the raw materials, electricity, and also one of the things that I wanted to mention in that regard, and not necessarily a reason why the electricity has gone up, but one of the things that in Spain is a recurring theme is the puertas giratorias. So
puertas giratorias. Okay, so
we're talking
revolving doors.
Correct. Okay.
And what that basically means, I'll let you explain, but it's got something to do with politicians that go into these companies, right?
That's correct. That's correct. It's pretty much like a golden retirement, these politicians, and that's from any party, really. I think a couple of years ago, even one from Podemos that usually has had a very argumentative speech against the electrics and energy company, not only the electrical companies, but also this energy poverty that they have been using in the different of the past elections.
Campaigns,
Yes, thank you. Yeah, they have been all of it. They have been involved, and they have been politicians that maybe they have been in government or not, and then at the end of their career, they just retire in the board of these companies, Endesa, Naturgy, Enel, anyone really. So it's like,
I sorry to interrupt, but it's a problem in other places as well. I mean, it's not unique to Spain. So we'll put that on the table first. That it's a way that these companies lobby the government because they have the people that have the contacts in the government who can get policy changes done and whatever. I mean, we saw it a couple of years ago with the famous sun tax, Impuesto al Sol. That was obviously somebody there lobbying the government to bring this in.
That's it. And the thing is that the lobbying activities, they are not regulated in Spain. This is how they get the influence and how they get first-hand information about what the regulatory changes are going to be, or in fact, basically those regulatory changes are being written off the boards of this company, and some of the times it has been proven that basically they have been word by word what it has come into law is coming from one of these companies.
Well, I suppose it's the case, and that a lot of the politicians, and I'm not going to say every politician, but the majority of politicians probably get into politics when they're at university or sometime around then. They join the younger generations of these parties. The PP has like the Jóvenes del PP, Casados comes from that.
Nuevas Generaciones, I think
that's
is
right,
the name.
That's right. That's it. Pedro Sánchez probably comes from the same area of the Socialist Party, and all of those people around them. I mean, you look at their profiles on Wikipedia, a lot of them, and you can see that they've just been working for the party for the whole time. They don't have any experience outside
Yeah, that's
party,
a
right?
very recurrent theme, and
That's
they're
right.
like professional politics, but
Exactly,
again, they are
exactly,
so disconnected because of what you have described. They are so
exactly.
disconnected from the reality. They don't
That's
have
right. That's right.
any like business thoughts in the sense of they have never managed a business,
That's it. That's it.
never to mention a country. So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
what we have.
Exactly. And the other issue here, Ivan, is that politics is such a nasty game. Not only in Spain, but here it's
Yeah.
particularly nasty. So you can see Pablo Iglesias, right? So I'm not going to speak, in favour or against him, but the guy's 40 years old and his political career has finished, right? So politicians realise that that's what's going to happen if you do get into politics young. Like, let's say, for example, Casado, who's a fairly young guy as well. If he gets, spat out by his political party, what's he going to do? So these
It's the
companies,
chairs game at the
well,
end of the
exactly,
day.
the companies open doors, and you don't see a lot of old politicians. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know where they are. But I think Rajoy was one of the oldest prime ministers that Spain has had,
Yeah,
because
yeah. And I think Rajoy, I read that has been seen having his menú del día in the
yeah,
Castellana, where
well,
he
that's
has
right.
his his office now. So
That's
yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
trying to
So
avoid any political contact at all.
exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah, that's right. Whereas I think maybe, look at the States, for example, Joe Biden, how old? So I don't want to mention that name, or with the comment section will blow up. Donald Trump was in his 70s. Joe
okay,
Biden
now you
was,
did it.
yeah, well, Trump and Biden both in their 70s. Experienced guys. You don't get that level of experience here in politics anymore, it seems. So
Mhm.
obviously people are looking for career opportunities to take them through to retirement, and obviously big contracts, Ivan, from these companies is what they're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And at the end of the day, it's a two-way street.
Of
Probably they
course.
get some profit and some secure salary, not doing much, or maybe what they are doing best, that is like influence or get connections, or having lunch with this and that, and gathering information that works in the best interest of the companies. And I'm not
Yeah.
judging that.
No.
It's not looking nice from the outside, but absolutely there is no regulation whatsoever
Mm.
that avoid that. I think depending what kind of position you have had, maybe you have a certain period of time where you cannot hold any of these positions.
Yep.
But yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, that's perfectly legal. Or
Mm.
the thing, it might be, I don't know, unethical from a more
Could be.
purist point of
Yeah.
view. But
Yeah.
yeah, as you say, it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just come into a question. How old is Scott Morrison? Sorry to put in the
Scott
spotlight.
Moore, I'd say he's probably early 50s. Looking at him, I'd say, but I'd have to have a look at Wikipedia. But
So do you think this
I
kind
wouldn't
of
say he's more than 52 or 53. Yeah.
so do you think this kind of like lobbying or like golden retirement it happened in Australia as well, or the countries that you?
Well, I can't think of too many that come to mind, but I'm sure that it does. That it is something that does happen. I think that one of the main differences in Australian politics, for example, is maybe people come from some type of experience before they get into politics, rather than when they're 18 or 19 and they've got something to go back to.
That's true. Yeah.
I'd like to think that is the case. I could be wrong, but I mean, like I said, I'm sure it happens everywhere. I don't think it's unique to Spain.
And
No.
I'm sure we will have a lot of comments with people with a
Well,
little bit more memory than we do,
Well, of
enlightening us
course, of
for the
course, yeah,
next
yeah,
call.
yeah,
So
yeah, 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 of course. But
no problem.
it is very attractive for companies to get that political. Politicians might even go into working as PR or something like that for these companies as well, because
Yeah,
it is something that they do well. They make connections. I mean, if you go into politics, it's because you are a people person, and and that's what you
absolutely.
do best.
Exactly. That's one of your biggest assets. So you have to monetize that. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
But
so
Yeah, I was going to say something else. I can't remember what I was going to say, but it doesn't matter. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I just want to finalize that. Obviously, you have been discussing that the government has put some measures to reduce the
Yeah.
energy bill in the coming months. So let's see how that turn out, and hopefully, that doesn't mean that in the future we are going to have some kind of like deficit of tariff. It happened in
Yeah,
the
which
previous
is
governments.
that's right.
Yeah, with Zapatero and with
Yeah,
Aznar,
yeah,
and I think actually the previous deficit of tariff was only settled maybe beginning of this year or 2020. So,
yeah,
for those people from your audience that maybe they are not very familiar, is that at some point this government did some arrangement with the energy companies
yeah,
to not to increase the price, but create some kind of like, well, I owe you this and I will
yeah,
pay you little by little.
yeah,
But
yeah,
at some point that got into something crazy like 70,000 million debt that basically like
yeah. It was
the whole
huge. It was
state.
well. That's
So
everybody pays for that in their bill every month. That's right.
yeah, so
I remember what I was going to say. So
yeah, go for
one
it.
of the differences is, and this is just the difference probably that you noticed in the UK, is that politicians are more connected. I mean, theoretically, they're more connected to their constituents, right? Because they represent more the population. Whereas here in Spain, I get the impression, Ivan, that
Mhm.
politicians are untouchable in that sense. It's very, very difficult for them to have any. I mean, you get a senator from Santander who's probably from Andalusia.
Oh yeah, in that regard, there is no respect in that regard. Like the politician from that list from that province
Mm.
has to be from that area. No,
So
no,
it's like a closed list, isn't it? So the party puts down on a list who they want to, and you just vote for a
exactly.
party, and you don't even know who's on the list. And then you
And
hear
in
that Pepe's gone into who? Who? Yeah, he was the. You never heard of them.
Exactly. In fact, what they usually do is like they have some kind of like head. They have cabeza de lista. Okay,
Yeah,
they have an idea about who is going to be the minister or who they want to be MP.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah,
they just put all that people spread out in the first list of every
yeah,
single province.
yeah, yeah,
So by end, if you are in the top parties, because the list is probably like 20 names,
yeah, yeah,
and the main parties maybe they get like what 5, 8.
yeah,
They
yeah,
know for
yeah,
sure that the first one is going to go to Congress. So that's the way to
yeah,
ensure that the people that they trust the most, let's say in every single
yeah.
area, they put it in the province that they know that they are going to get more votes.
That's
And
right.
that's for the PP and the PSOE, that
Yeah,
they are the main one with
yeah,
representation all over. But maybe for those provinces where they have or maybe they haven't ensured like a representation. I don't know, like I'm talking about the less majority parties.
yeah, yeah,
They know they have obviously they stats and their numbers, and they say,
yeah,
oh, we have a lot of chances to get representation from this province. So they put the head of the list in that province, whether or not
yeah.
that person has been born or bred there. Doesn't matter.
They have no feeling with
So
that particular province. And
correct.
another thing that I can understand, so this is also a difference from, let's say, Australia, is that if you're a minister, you have to have been elected by the population first, right? Whereas here, they just pluck people out of nowhere and give them ministerial positions. Maxim Huerta a couple of years ago. Do you remember him?
Yeah,
He
that's
wasn't a
correct.
politician. He was a journalist, right? Oh,
Yeah,
here you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Here's a
He has a
ministry.
TV show, I think, by the time that he was appointed, or maybe he left the TV show months before he was appointed. So
That's
yeah,
right.
no connection whatsoever.
Pedro Duque. Bing. Right?
There is no need to be
A politician.
MP or a politician to be a minister. That's true.
So I don't know. This is something that for me's strange. Do you know what I mean? That you can just put your best friend there if you want.
Yeah, you can do it, actually. Yeah.
Mm.
It will obviously will have to under scrutiny,
Of
but
course, of course.
when you get appointed as prime minister, as PM,
Mm.
yeah, you don't really need to justify who you are going to
No,
appoint.
no,
Nothing at
no.
all. No. And
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes I think, well, thinking good, obviously, I want to think that kind of tool has been put in place for a more technocrat
Yeah.
kind of like government.
Okay.
So there is no, maybe like it happened in Italy, I think with
Yeah. Okay.
probably, and I'm mistaken, but it sounds Matteo Renzi, and they become like a
They were technocrats.
technocrat
Okay.
government. People that is, the Ministry of Health, it's an actual surgeon or a doctor. The Ministry
Okay.
of Business or Employment is somebody, I don't know, with relevant experience in that
So
field, rather than
the science minister is an astronaut.
yeah, well, probably they wanted to play that stunt at some point, but it totally backfired, as we all know now.
Yeah.
But
But anyway, yeah.
I'm
So
trying to think well here.
those are just some of the curiosities. Good.
Yeah. That's very true. That's the case.
All right. We've been going for a while now, Ivan, so we'll wrap it up. But we're going to do something on a regular basis, right? We'll try and speak on a regular basis. So we'll organise that, and we'll try to get your insights into the way that Spain works so that we can all understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to. And you are happy, Stuart, and your audience is happy. More than glad to join and add to the community. So please, if you have any
Fantastic.
doubts or anything, write below. We will have a look, keep an eye into it, and hopefully solve any doubt that
That's it.
it might pop up. So
all right, fantastic, Ivan. So we'll be in contact, and great speaking to you.
same, Stuart.
All right,
Take
see you
care
later.
and
Good
stay
day.
safe. See ya.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.